Hey guys, and welcome to the Mount Sharax 20-man raid guide. The third boss is Izkinra. This is a 3-phase fight. In the first phase you will have to fight the 2 War Masters, in the second phase you will have to shoot down the actual boss, and in the third phase you will fight the boss himself. We use the following raid setup: 3 tanks, a Purifier, a Chloromancer, a 61 Physician, a Fist Act, an Oracle or Bard, and a Stormcaller Archon. Here are the mechanics. In the first phase you will fight the 2 War Masters. The left ad is called War Master's Set-Off. You will apply a stacking debuff called Rending Ice. This will do about 16k damage per stack. Tanks swap on 3 stacks. Here's an ability called Armor Shear. This is a cone ability that will give you a stacking debuff, increasing damage you take by 15% for 15 seconds. The right ad is called War Master Ilrath. Here's a cast called Vorpal Strike. You will need to interrupt that. This is a one-shot to the tank. Here's an ability called Roar of the Sharax. This is a frontal cone knockback. It will also do about 15k damage. When you cast this ability, the best way to keep the boss from moving is to start running forward shortly before the end of the cast. More to this later. He also has 4 stacks of Armor of the Sharax. This will reduce the damage he takes by 15% per stacks. So if you didn't guess it yet, you will need to keep him in the other War Master's Cleave to remove the stacks. Once his stacks are removed, you can keep him in the AoE to give him stacks of Armor Shear. Close to the 1 minute mark there will be a scream and an emote saying Distant Shriek. At this point there will be AoE spawning. Avoid the small purple AoEs and keep an eye out for the big red ones. Don't get inside of the red ones yet, or you will be one-shotted by the falling rock. Once the rock has landed, the AoE will turn purple and your whole raid will need to run inside of it to be safe from the Storm of Izkinra. This is a very high damage AoE that comes from the boss flying above you. The Storm of Izkinra will also debuff the War Masters, increasing the damage they take by 60% and preventing them from casting Roar of the Sharax. This is the knockback. Once you kill both the War Masters, the second phase will start. When you kill one of them, the remaining War Master will get a buff called Unbreakable Will, reducing his damage taken by 90%. So make sure you kill the 2 War Masters at the same time. Each War Master will spawn an elemental called Living Storm. You will need to keep them apart, because they have an AoE aura called Surging Storm. This deals about 10k damage every 2 seconds. You will need to be inside of that aura to be safe from the Storm of Izkinra in phase 2. In this phase you will have to shoot harpoons at the boss. The tank that isn't tanking one of the elementals will be going to the heavy ballista bolt pile, while the rest of the raid is moving to the right ramp. Have your DPS make a line on the left side of the ramp and have your healer standing on the right side. Something like this on my awesome drawing. As you can see, the tank is at the bottom, the DPS are making a line on the left side of the ramp, and 1 elemental is at the top of the ramp and 1 at the bottom, so everyone is covered in the AoE. You will now have to pass the ammunition from the bolt pile all the way up to the ballista. The tank at the bottom will have to loot the pile. To be able to loot it, he will have to stand outside of the Surging Storm AoE, so don't have the elemental aura on top of that tank. While carrying ammunition, you will get a buff reducing your movement speed by 90%. You will also get a reactive ability to pass the ammunition to another player within 6 meters of you. So pass the ammunition all the way up to the ballista. The player inside the ballista will get the following abilities. The first one is Heavy Ballista. This is the one you use to shoot at the boss. The second one is Take Cover. This will reduce the damage you take for 5 seconds. The third one is Reload. This will simply reload new ammunition to shoot. Once the boss is close to 50%, you will hear a scream, and there will be an emote saying Wounded Scream. This marks the start of the third phase. At this point you don't need the Living Storms anymore, as the boss will not do the abilities Storm of Izkinra anymore. Once the boss has landed, he has the following abilities. As soon as he lands he will cast Heart of the Storm. This is an 8-second channel AoE damage. This will do a total of 17 ticks for about 15k damage each tick. He will cast a red bubble on someone called Razor Storm. This happened only on our tanks for us, but it might be random. This will do about 10k AoE damage around the player, and after each tick it will expand a little bit more. He will apply a stacking debuff on the tanks called Biting Cold. This will reduce incoming healing by 3% per stack. We usually swap on 5 stacks. And he has one final mechanic called Flash Freeze. This does about 90k damage on the 2 targets closest to the boss. And that's all there is. This sounds complicated, but it's really a simple fight. So tank the 2 War Masters in the middle of the room, and have your DPS attacking only the left War Master until the other one loses his stacks. The tanks tanking the left War Master will have to swap on 3 stacks of Rending Ice. The tank tanking the right War Master will have to keep him in the other War Master's cleaves so he can lose his stacks. This is Roar of the Sharax, his frontal knockback. If you start running just before the cast is done, you can prevent him from moving at all, like this. Vorpal Strike, interrupt this or be one-shotted. The other War Master is casting Armor Shear. This is the cone you see now. You need to keep this War Master inside of that cleave to remove his stacks. If you tank him like this, only the War Master will get hit and you won't get the debuff. My War Master is now dispelled. You can stack the two War Masters up now, so people can cleave them down. At this point you will hear the boss screaming, and there will be an emote on your screen saying Distant Shriek. Now the AoE will start spawning. Again, avoid the small purple AoEs, and keep an eye out for the red one. The emote Violent Roar marks the start of the Storm of Izkinra. Once the rock landed, the AoE is turning purple. You need to move inside quickly to take shelter from the Storm of Izkinra. This also applies the debuff on the War Masters, increases the damage they take by 60% and preventing them from casting the knockback. And that's all there is to phase 1, I'm gonna speed up until phase 2. Now make sure you kill the ads at the same time. Make sure you spread out the living storms quickly to avoid high AoE damage. Now start moving to the right ramp. Place the upper storm overlapping the ballista a little bit to protect the player inside. And as I said before, have your DPS make a line on the left, have your healers on the right, everyone not more than 12 meters away from each other, and pass up the ammunition. During this phase you can DPS the living storms down to about 10%, so you can kill them off quickly before the last phase starts. But don't kill them off yet, you still need them to protect you from the Storm of Izkinra. You can see the emote Violent Roar, he will now do Storm of Izkinra. Once you see the emote Wounded Scream, the boss will land. You have about 20 seconds until he lands. During that time you need to kill off at least one of the living storms. If you can't manage to kill both of the living storms, have the tank tanking the remaining living storm go out of the raid at the bottom of the ramp. This will help your healers doing the AoE healing. The two other tanks need to go stack on the boss. He will cast Heart of the Storm as soon as he lands, so be ready for that. You can see that expanding red AoE on the tank now, avoid getting hit by this. The tanks will need to swap on at least 5 stacks of the debuff. If you still have a living storm up like we do now, the tank that just got swapped on the boss will have to go down and tank the living storm so the other tank can go up. And this is Flash Freeze, the two closest targets will get hit. And repeat this until he's dead. And that's it guys, good luck on your kill. I will add the Karul alerts that I have for this fight in the video info, so make sure you check that out. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and make sure you subscribe for future uploads. And as always guys, thanks for watching.